you've been putting some major work in. It sounds like 2022 is going to be a big year for you, man.
Yeah, man, that's definitely.
Well, let's talk about 2021 first, because that was also a huge year. You had 5 projects that year, right?
It was almost like at the beginning of this year I released another. Well, if you count the compilation we dropped right before we dropped Killer's Manual, 5 projects. Yeah.
Did Insurgent Theory come out in 2021 or 2020?
They came out 2020, but Insurgent Theory but Insurgent Theory in a way was like the catalyst for the wave of work that was to come in 2021.
Word. That's kind of how it felt, man. When Insurgent Theory dropped, that was a big album. And it feels like that got a lot of love. Like, you hadn't really dropped anything in a little while prior to that. Is that correct?
Yeah, I hadn't. I want to say because I was doing like guest joints, and I think I did an album with Oak, like a EP with Oak, like a year before. But even that was old, so that wasn't really new. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I was just dropping maybe like little like guest appearance joints, but that was like me kind of my resurgence on the scene in a sense.
Yeah, I don't even think, was there any, I think you had like 1 or 2 features on there, right?
What, an Insurgent Theory?
Yeah, you have a song with Zag on there?
I had a song, Zag was on there. Huh? I had Tap Out was on there, and I'm trying to think of who else. Shit, I'm thinking that was it. No,
it was not heavy on. We got 1 song with Zag, 1 song with Tap Out. That's it. I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
So Insurgent Theory drops. That kind of catalyzes this whole wave for you. But what catalyzed that? Like, what built up to the, you know what I mean, to this like output of creativity that you've had? Because from Insurgent Theory, which I think was late 2020, to now, we got 6 projects, man. That's a lot.
Man, like, first off, I like this line of questioning. I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, this is definitely like good way to present it. I would say that I think I was in a place in life to create the actual album I always wanted to, and I don't think I was trying anything too brand new. I was trying to create the album I always wanted to make. I would say the previous projects I did were me trying little different things on each one, because that period was a resurgence within itself when I first started High Speed and everything, right? After the 3rd Mercenary sessions, I had to reconfigure everything, and I did a little EP after that, then the one with Oak, and then I'm like, when the pandemic hit, it was the perfect opportunity to, I'm like, yo, you know what? I want to create the standard for underground albums in this new decade. Mm-hmm. So that was my idea to it, because I think for the last 10 years, because it even goes into the title, because the last 10 years, I think what we've been pretty much hearing the same perspectives, which is like the avant-garde artistic drug dealers. That's all we've been hearing for about,
man. It's such a wave.
For 10 years. And, and I bet as you do, I like the shit. I like the way it sounds. It sounds cool. I like listening to it. I'm not going to act like it's not enjoyable, but it's it got to a point to me where, we need something, another perspective other than the luxurious shit. So that was the idea with, even in the cover, there was a car being blown up, like a luxury car being blown up. So there's a symbology there. So then that just got me more on my guerrilla militant joint, and just having either large scale or small skirmishes of attacks, just causing disruptions in the current wave. that was kind of my idea, and to kind of cement my legacy as someone that can have a high output, but like quality. It doesn't seem like I just threw it out there anyway.
Yeah, man. I feel like that's really the difference too. Every one of these projects feels like it's well thought out, you know? Like it's meticulously planned. And it's you know, you're right, like that wave of this avant-garde kind of shit, like everyone's got a painting on their cover and everyone's rapping about, you know, we got pretty much the same subject matter coming up time and time again, right? But like I don't know, man. I like what you said there, because there's a lot, like, you know, people have all kinds of different ways to come at the game, you know, but one way that I don't think people really get into is like their mindset, you know? And it sounds like at the beginning of the pandemic, like you just got into this mode that's kind of captured in Insurgent Theory.
Yeah, because I really, it's like I've always been that, but I've never had the opportunity to act on it. So when life made it so I can actually do it, I'm like, this is the opportunity, and the time is now. Mm-hmm. And I have to stake my claim in this time period, because I feel like I haven't been able to totally do what I wanted to do in this game, at least on an artistic level, which I can control. I can't control the success level of anything. All I can do is put in the work and work on the next one. You feel me?
You control the quality.
Yeah, that's the part I control, and that's the part I want to stay in complete control of, and which is not going to change. I want people, you know, when this is all said and done, and at least in this capacity, I want people to be able to go through a fine-tooth comb and be like, oh, this guy was saying some shit on this, you know. So
yeah, work. That's where the legacy comes in, right? It's like this will be here forever.
Exactly, man.
And if they don't become awake to it right now, then maybe the next week or the next year.
And with a different, like I was just telling you right now. I think we're about the same age, and yep. I just remember there were always issues in any scene in hip hop, but what I do remember is that there were different perspectives and point of views that people were coming from. You know what I mean? You had like the definitely. Dudes that were ultra conspiracy, ultra, you know, abstract part of ultra. We had criminals too, like Stick Up Kids and all that as well. But it was all there. It was all available, and I just feel like it's not only the only thing you hear; it's becoming the standard of what people want to hear. So, and I really don't. I'm not of the school that I am to be just catering to what people want, you know?
Word. Yeah. And it sounds like you really, with Insurgent Theory, like you said, this was the album you always wanted to make. Like, the ideas behind this were always there. But you just had the opportunity with the pandemic hitting to put that into action and really be meticulous with it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to jump actually to Burnt Ships real quick, because you were talking about the symbolism behind the cover of Insurgent Theory, but I know that there's also a symbolism behind the cover of Burnt Ships.
Sure. I was building with my man, Chairman Chow, our good friend Chairman Chow, and we've been talking about doing some work just because I had been such a frequent guest on Overdog, and, you know, we became pretty much like fame based on that. So when we were thinking about just, you know, a project name and just what we were in life at that time, you know, he was telling me about the Death Ground strategy, which is what I know is Death Ground strategy from the 33 strategies of war, where they're talking about Cortez, the conqueror Cortez going to Mexico and going with, like, you know, a short number of men, mm-hmm. and him essentially burning the ship. So there is now no exit strategy. It's either winning or death. And that's how, you know, you just kind of feel with doing this music thing. It's either we go all in, or, you know, it's kind of like the get rich or die trying mentality.
Mm-hmm. So, the only way is forward.
Yeah, And that's the only way, because I think if you leave yourself with a way out, you're not going to fight as hard as you can because you have a plan B. And when there is no plan B, you're going to fight that much harder because you have no strategy. It's kind of just like in life, period. If you really knew that you only had this one, you would fight like hell to treat it like such and to do as much as you can while you still have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it changes your whole mentality when there's no going back.
Yeah, that's a fact. Yeah. So that was the symbolism behind it.
That's what's
so there's always that in everything in everything that's being done. There's always that. There's always themes, and even if we don't always follow it as strictly, that's the overall arching theme. You know.
Mm-hmm. Word, man. Yeah, I like the fact that it always feels like there's like a philosophical like stream through your music. You know what I mean? Like it's not just like your actual philosophy, your life philosophy comes through in your music a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Because it has to.
Like what do you draw upon? Like, what are some of you mentioned the 33 strategies?
Yeah, I mean, since I was a young, that's a Robert Greene book, and it was just strategies of war, you know. So so like I have, just a lot of life experience, whether it's just life experience, you know, whether it be, you know, being in the military before, you know, living in an impoverished environment, being around rich environments, you know, building with great minds, building with you know, a lot of like gods and earths in the 5% nation. It's just from so many places. It's hard to really pin down because I'm really an amalgamation of all of that. Even though, you know, my foundation is being a 5%er. You know, that since knowledge is the foundation of everything in existence, I draw from all places. So I'm an amalgamation of everything, and I just center it to self because it's really what it's about. It's about empowering self and having the knowledge of yourself to know you know, being the true and living God. So that's where it all comes from. Huh?
It's important to have a foundation, you know. Like I feel like that's really, you know, you can draw from all these different places, but it sounds like the 5% nation is really the foundation of it all for you.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the Harakure when they were saying when you have knowledge of when you have like knowledge, you're in all ways you'll be stronger in your own way where you're walking, because it's your anchor to not float off into space, because we want to go off into the heavens, but we want to be able to come down to earth too. Because if we're just in the heavens all the time, you know, not everybody's there. Not everybody's there, and you want to be relatable. And if it's not relatable to the people, you're speaking above the head and not to the head.
Word. Yeah, you got to be able to meet people where they're at.
Yeah, man. That's the mathematics of today. Today's knowledge power, man. So when we're empowering these people, it's important that we put the knowledge in a way that could be understood. You know, if you want to give them the power to define and create and shape their reality, you have to put it in a palatable way. I mean, in music, I don't necessarily always do that, you know, but in real life, definitely.
Yeah, man. No, I hear that. I feel like it is really important. Like, you can get deep on people, but you can't just keep going with. You can't just do song after song of shit that people won't be able to understand. You know,
right?
Like I remember like when Wu-Tang came out, you know, and that was probably when I first got introduced to like 5% or terminology. There was a whole lot of words going on, a whole lot of things going on I did not understand, but there was enough in there that I did understand that I could stay with it, and it drew me in. You know.
Right, me either. You know, so it's only after I got knowledge of self that I even understood a little bit more. I think a lot of it was flying past me, or at least not flying past me, but the seeds were being planted, and they took form later. You know, a lot of the seeds that were being dropped. So I mean, that's just how it is in general. Like, I do have a foundation, but I am I'm a universally traveled person.
Mm-hmm.
So that comes across in the music as well.
Yeah, definitely does. You know, and so speaking of that, let's get into the Killer's Manual, because that was a big one for you.
Yeah, definitely.
For you and Zag, and Zagnif Nori had a huge year last year as well. Let's go back to y'all's relationship. How did you guys first link up?
My brother Zag. So Zag was in this group he is in this group called Noble City, and they were, you know, you remember the internet era as far as the forum era. They kind of ruled like the. Yep, definitely. So they ruled like the Wu-Tang one, like the Wu Corp one.
I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, it's like
Wu
Corp or something.
Yeah, that was like, I think that was the biggest Wu fan site, and you know, forums, as we all know, was like the social media back then, and Noble City was big back then. So they sampled this Portishead joint, and he rapped on it, and one of my brothers introduced it to me, and because we were planning on doing that, and they beat us to it. I'm like, who the hell is this?
That sample?
Yeah, we were gonna use a sample. So I started listening to them, and I became a fan, and I became a big fan of that, because I felt like in the 2000s, as much as people were rhyming nice, there was some good rhyming going on. I think the aesthetic feel of hip hop was going in a direction where I wasn't as interested production-wise and the way it just came across. Mm-hmm. And only some dudes maintained some shit that maintained my interest. So I posted a joint on Wu Corp one time, and he hit me up and told me he wanted to work, which is cool, because I was already a fan, and we started working, and we've been working together for 10 plus, various missions on each other's joints, and so this is a really long time coming. So, and then we started working together. Finally, we had the time to, again, this is during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And let me say this real quick. The pandemic, I've had my best artistic life during the pandemic.
Yeah, it changed it for a lot of people, man. The opportunity to just settle in and do what you feel like doing, instead of having to go, 40 hours a week going to the office or whatever the case may be.
Right. So we did that. We did Killer's Manual, and that one was pretty big, man. It got us on a lot of spaces that I hadn't even reached yet. Legends hitting us up, Yeah, it was dope.
That's and so speaking of that, opening up new spaces, it's getting a vinyl release, correct?
Yes, it's getting it definitely is. I hit up my homie, Best Kept, who produced the joint on it. Mm-hmm. It was kind of ill the way that happened. He sent it out for us.
Okay.
That's not something we were necessarily thinking was even possible.
Yeah.
Because you know how it is, man. The politics of the game. There's a glass. There's a glass ceiling even on this level. Yeah,
for sure. And it's tough to break through that. And
it's very tough to break
through. So sought after now. It's like hard, even if you were doing it on your own. It takes so goddamn long to get it.
Yeah, man. We hit up. So, not us. Pardon. I'm just trying to get my story linearly correct. Uh-huh. He hit up Fat Beats.
Ah, okay.
And Fat Beats was interested in putting it out. This is an exclusive you're getting. Fat Beats was interested in putting it out.
Okay.
But I wasn't satisfied with what they were offering, and neither was Zag.
Okay.
I would think that an underground label would be more willing to take a risk on something that they said that they liked.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, maybe we might work in the future. Just depends. But
yeah,
after
the deal
that,
wasn't right, you had to turn it down.
Yeah, definitely, because and it was hard, man. It was hard to, it's Fat Beats, man. Like,
that's a big name, man. They've been around forever. Put out so many classics.
Yeah, so like to be like for me to say no, it had to be wrong.
Yeah.
So Good Felons hits me up, and I was already familiar with them with the records they put out with like Rock Marsh and like all them dudes. Now Ransom, people like that.
Yeah, I'm actually just looking at their website now. They got the Ransom and Nicholas Craven joint. They did an Al Divino record, the SD Mac joint.
Mhm. So they hit me up, and he's like, yeah, we're interested in doing the deal. We like the project, and we know they're not going to offer you what we're going to offer you. So, so we did that. And, I actually, like, my man Sean up there, man, like, we just became cool, and we just, we don't even necessarily just talk about music. We talk about just life and shit that annoys us in the world, so.
That's what's up, man.
And it took forever, but just because, we're in uncertain times, but it's coming out now, and we were all excited, man, because this is what we want. This is to be in the vinyl market.
Yeah, man. This is a great record to start out with, especially with the run that, you and Zag coming together because your individual work ethic is so strong.
Yeah, man. And I like, and it's interesting. Like when you hear us together, it looks like we've always been just rapping together. I think when we do our own separate things, you kind of see the differences in what we're exploring musically, which is dope. You know what I mean? Because I was already a fan of his.
Same brand of music.
No, we're not. You know what I mean? His perspective is different than mine.
Yeah, that's his whole approach.
Just the whole, you know what I mean? But it's like in Killer's Manual, sometimes you could see what he pushed towards and what I pushed towards. Like, clearly the cover was pushed before by me. You know what I mean? But some of the joints pushed forward by him. So it's just, you get to see, like, both elements. So we're just excited that we're going to be opened up to a new audience. The world is going to see more of it, and hopefully that the demand for another one will be there, where we will get an even bigger situation.
That's what's up, man. Well, congratulations to both of y'all on that. And,
appreciate that, man.
Prior to this vinyl release, it was out on tape. I actually copped the tape from Icy Palms, and you've had a relationship with them for a while now too. And I think I just saw you post today that they're going to be dropping one of your older albums that never came out on tape before, right?
Yes. Mixed Reality. Yeah, because with Icy Palms, we had been, friendly on social media for a little bit, and then I think offered to do some work, and I was definitely with it. I always wanted, cassette made of my music, and we were ever since Insurgent Theory, we put in some work together, and it's been pretty much smooth sailing with them.
That's so up, man. They put out a lot of cool shit, man, and I think it's great. Tape. I got a tape player in my whip, so I buy all these tapes and actually listen to them.
That's ill. That's ill. Yeah. With Mixed Reality, the issue with that one was, or not really an issue, is that I wasn't going to release. I wasn't going to release anything physical. I was just going to put it on our BandCamp. But I thought that was such a that album deserved physical treatment, and that was one that out of all of them, I'm like, why didn't I do anything with this? There was something with Mercenary Sessions, and that's the Mixed Reality kind of opened up the world to me as far as establishing me in like the underground circles of the radio, the Shade 45s, and that shit, like joint from there, getting it played by like DJ Premier and DJ Premier, Tony Touch, this is when they weren't doing as many local joints, you know what I mean?
Yeah, now they're playing a lot, especially a lot of Massachusetts artists. But back then,
yeah.
they really weren't. And I used to have the satellite radio on my whip as well. I was listening to it all the time. So when I was hearing shit from you or from Oak on there, you know, I was like, this is a fucking big look, man. This is worldwide.
Yeah, and that was the first time, and the joint, it was a joint from Mercenary Sessions 2. That was the first joint that we all had from our end that got played on Shade 45, and that was an accident. I didn't even know. I mass emailed it to DJ Eclipse.
Oh, shit. You didn't even know he was on the list. You probably just had, like, 50 different emails on there, huh?
Didn't even know. Didn't even know he was still, doing his thing on the radio.
Oh, shit. Yeah, because he really kind of reestablished himself with the Shade 45 show.
Right.
From the nonfiction days.
Bro, I seen that. I was like, yo, what the I'm like, wait a minute. Because I seen an email from DJ Eclipse. I'm like, that this can't be the truth. You know what I mean? This can't be him. And this is me.
You were really blown away, huh?
Really? Yo, bro, at the end of the day, like, I think I think you've gotten a grasp of my character, man. I am a real student of this shit. So for me to be anywhere in the mix of these people is super cool to me, man. I made this music because it took such a hold of me that I had to try it out myself. You know what I mean? And so me working all these people, having, some DMs with people I grew up with that hit me up,
Uh-huh.
And all that shit it's still amazing. And I know that it's only going to get better than that. But yeah, that the mixed reality is going to be released finally physically. And I just think that the people that are collectors should deserve to have that in their, you know what I mean? In the collection.
Sure, you knew it was of high enough quality that, like, if you're getting love and selling out tapes on these new albums, that one needed to go.
Hell yeah, man. 100%.
So speaking of influences, right? Because we just kind of touched on, you're getting emails and DMs from people who you looked up to before, and we were talking about DJ Eclipse, and I feel like we both definitely come from that same generation where, like, we. The time where I was taking a turn towards, okay, I really got to do this rap shit was around that underground era, right? Where, like, the Jiggy era had kind of settled in, and then we had local dudes who were just putting out their own vinyl and making their own way and things.
Right.
And Nonfiction was one of the better groups from that time that was really influential to me. But I know from just peeping your social media that we also share another similar influence, which is Scaramanga.
Yeah, come on, man.
Yeah, bro. So I see you posting all the Snake Eyes shit and, 7 Eyes, 7 Horns. That dude was fucking spectacular. Just tell me a little bit about, like, what it is about Scaramanga that made you such a big fan of his and how he influenced you.
I wouldn't say as much of, like, it influenced me. It's more like I respect his artistry of just clearly does not give a fuck if you get it or not. Clearly doesn't.
Nope. He is just interested in intertwining and just creating these styles and rhymes that it's just like, it feels like he just does it because that's what he fucking feels like doing. It really has that.
Yeah, and it's real. It's smart, but it's still gangster, bro. It's still like I think a lot of what these dudes are trying to do today, he was already doing years ago.
Yeah.
As far as
I was actually with Chairman Chow not too long ago, I think last summer, and I had him in the whip. We were going up to Maine. I had him in the car for a couple hours, so I played him that Scaramanga album, and both of us were just like, yo, this is everything the dudes are trying to do right now, except better.
It's exactly because he already had. Come on, man, that dude was rapping with, like, Cool Keith. You know what I mean? All the dudes on.
Yeah, real.
Yeah, man. Come on, man. Like, had early records with, like, LP. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, no shit. He was on all that early Coach Low, like, raucous era shit.
Yeah, man. And this is and if you really think about it, he didn't really, like, it was a little bit more like street than what them dudes were probably dealing with as much musically.
Yeah,
you know, as far as
for
a lot
sure,
of
man. But he had that sci-fi style too that he was doing on like Dr. Octagon and the other shit he was popping up with Kool Keith on. Like the man had such a plethora of styles. It was incredible, you know.
He has like a style named like Juan Excelsior where he's rapping in Spanish, like some what?
He's a phenom, man. I wish he'd come back out with a record. Shit.
Yeah, me especially in this era. I wish he really just be like reclaim a lot of what's out, because I think now what we got is we have some Napoleon shit going on, meaning history is written by the winners and the losers get written about.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is a lot of people get to claim that they started a lot of these styles and everything when a lot of this shit was already around. Like that offbeat, off-kilter style, like Half a Mil was already doing that.
Yeah.
That Half a Mil was already doing that. Killer Priest was already doing that to the no drum shit. Like this is none of this is new.
Yeah.
None of this is new. So like when I hear dudes like that, and I just remember like, damn, it reminds me that I want to keep pushing the envelope, and it makes me want to push the envelope. If it does influence me in a way, it's in that way, and to stay in my lane and to not really care what the people want like that, because they don't really know. They're knowing what they're programmed to want or like. So I have to be. And if I'm saying I'm the true and living God, what am I doing following just what people want? I have to be setting the trends, because that's really like what we're dealing with is being the originator, being the original man, the origin of all. So how am I going to do that if I'm just not being myself? So that's what a dude like Scaramanga gets me to want to do. And I'm glad we get to talk about dudes like that, because like those names, a lot of those names just get forgotten and thrown in a pile of people we don't even talk about anymore.
It's real, man. If you take a look at it, you can if you take a look at the whole thing and step back, it's like, something was rekindled recently over the last 10 years, but it wasn't invented, and you look at dudes like Scaramanga and Godfather Don, and it's like these dudes are basically forgotten outside of like a handful of like aficionados, people who are really, really interested in the craft. Like people don't know about these guys, and they were doing this shit at a higher level than a lot of the people today who are very popular.
That's a fact. That's a fact, because now what's missing now is the foundation of actually being able to rhyme a lot of times, and being and actually MCing. A lot of these dudes have just been recording at their crib for most of the time, and have like internet fame. Just like a lot of these dudes were like rhyming in ciphers, in fat beats, and in those lyricist lounge open mics, and just a lot more volatile situations where you have to have thicker skin to make it in, especially at the time when no internet, word of mouth. You're rapping in that style, to be able to get that out, that's amazing.
It was a different era. You had to show up in person, right? Like being in a cipher outside the Middle East after one of those shows, with all these MCs who are already established, was like a big fucking deal.
It's a big deal. It's one of those. It's one of the training courses. Yeah, it's one of the prerequisites, and it's one of the things that I think is clearly missing for today. But because I think a lot of dudes can rap in that style, but can they really rhyme in the foundational sense? For some of these dudes, it has yet to be seen.
Yeah, yet to be established for sure. Let's touch on your latest release, now streaming.
Okay.
Dropped last week, correct?
Yes, it did.
Now, the name of this also has some symbolism to it, right? Because this is the first album in a long time that's just popped right up on Spotify for me that you dropped.
Yeah. And I think this is probably the one that's probably as simple as as I'm gonna get as far as symbolism with that. It's more like it's available. It's a digital stream available to the casual public, right? Because I usually have my music just exclusive to people that fuck with me. By going to BandCamp, I could really see who really rocks with my shit, who really is rather than just riding the wave. And I personally take issue with Spotify and DSPs like that and everything, like just making most of the money, and I'm making pennies on the dollar, and without
literally fractions of a cent,
And we have, and on top of that, like without us, where's their they don't make content. I don't like the idea that they own that content, and they're the gatekeepers to like my level of popularity.
Yeah,
and they make most of the money.
To make that decision, man, if you show up in the algorithm and not pop up and just play automatically on people's shit when they're not paying attention, that's them.
And I don't like that, bro, and I just don't. So what I ended up, so this one was more to get, and it won't happen that frequently. It will only be, I'm only throwing casual fans a bone to, this is what's going on over here. Come fuck with me. And I still did it, but I didn't short them on the quality that everybody else would get normally.
Yeah, certainly not, man. And interestingly, a lot of the stuff that you're touching on right now, there's a sample of someone speaking on now streaming. That he's speaking to who is that?
That's Cody Wilson. He I don't know if you've ever heard of Defense Distributed.
No.
He made he was this dude he made the first 3D printed gun. Like his company made the first 3D printed gun, and he was about introducing the idea of just expanding the Second Amendment in the internet age. Yeah. Because they not only did they make the 3D printed gun, and that was just more like symbolism, because 3D printed guns, that's not really an efficient way to make weapons. He made downloadable files on how to make guns and finish them at home.
Yeah, man. I've actually done a little bit. I've never run across this guy's name, but I've done a bit of research on this myself. There was an interesting piece that was put out by the name of the news outlet will come to me soon, but about a guy who had a similar. He was a similar gun rights activist, but out in Europe, and he was making these 3D printed 9mm fully automatics.
Right. So they have like milling machines that you can have like an 80% receiver, and then if you know how to, you can take the time to finish out like an AR-15 or something.
Yeah, you just put together a couple of pieces you purchased online or whatever.
Indeed. So the issue he was having was like the credit card companies like not allowing them to process payments, PayPal cutting them off, social media cutting them off.
Yeah.
So it was
internet blacklisted.
Yes. So I think when I talk about stuff like that, it's more about becoming more guerrilla as time goes on. That is really the general theme of my existence in music right now. Just as far as because I mix, master everything. I've shot my own commercials. I've shot my own videos. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even I'll say this, even on your show, just because I feel comfortable just saying it here. Like those shirts, I made them here. I made them at the crib.
That's what's up. You made those at the crib?
Yeah, I made those at the crib.
That's ill.
I made those at the crib. So so all of that together is I'm just working on as time is going on is working on as many things as I can work on to my general capacity by myself without solely depending on social media. I mean, the next thing would be to have my own URL, so I don't get throttled by. I'll give you an example. When I put up that Drake freestyle that I did, these niggas was trying to. I felt like they were trying to shadow ban me because they were saying that they were going to remove the video. They never removed the video, but the video only got a lot of views because of the quality, and I was pushing it, but it wasn't getting as much traction as everything I put up before.
Gotcha. And you
like
know
clearly,
the numbers are hanging low, and you're like, what's going on here? I know I'm getting seen more than this.
Yes. So I just don't like the idea that, number one, they referee discourse and that they can control your reach. So we're back to the same kind of tyranny that we were trying to avoid with social media that we had without it.
Yo, absolutely, man. It's like there was this idea that the internet was going to bring this age of like the free movement of information, right? But instead, what we've got is from the very beginning of this, like the powers that be have been working to control the narratives and control what
definitely looking to control the narratives. Like even that situation with Cody Wilson and Defensive Distributed. If what they're talking about is that, do you get to control the information, even if it's about making guns? What makes you the arbiter of control of the flow of information?
For sure, this is not a contract that we've entered into with the big Silicon Valley people or with the government, right? It's like something new gets invented and they just jump in there and try and make the rules right away without checking with anyone. Right.
So that's really that's part of what, it wasn't about that specifically, but as with everything, I relate it to my world.
Yeah.
And it is more about just getting shit out. Like if you listen to the beginning of the Top Command Order, it was the same dude.
Yeah, I noticed him popping up a few other times in there. It's a very good project, man. I'm a big fan of the Unabomber Manifesto.
You like that, huh?
Yeah, that's a slapper, man. And it's kind of self-explanatory, but can you just touch on that real quick, on what was the the thinking behind that song?
Man, it was just going off, really. It's going off, but like even when I'm going off and going crazy, I'm always saying something on it. Even if it's me at my most braggadocious, I could say like in one moment, I'm saying softer than the cardigan, got a sex tape, Rom the star that your broad is in. I'm saying that, and then I'm talking about, Magic Leap. It's like, who knows what Magic Leap is? But it's for the people to look it up.
Yeah, for sure, man. You got to leave some, you know what I mean? Like some of it's, like you said, some of it's self-explanatory, right? And everyone can grasp it, but there's got to be some stuff in there that leads people to be interested in and look further into the material that you're giving them, to further educate themselves, like you said.
Because when I write, what it really is I'm giving you enough to get some shit on face value, but I'm not a one listen. I'm still not a one listen person. You go back and you'll be like, damn, I missed like 8 lines within just 16 bars,
Yeah, man.
Because I was paying attention to the haymakers.
Yeah.
But
totally.
I'm still
in there. You got to go back for.
Yeah, because I'm still, it's like a Floyd Mayweather. Like it doesn't. Some of the moves aren't as dazzling, but like if you really listen to it, I'm still scoring on the cards.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, man. You got to be making music that makes people want to go back and listen to it again in this era, right? Where music seems so disposable.
Right.
People move on from the hot project and forget about it a couple weeks later, and they're on to the next thing. You got to make stuff that makes people want to go back to it.
Right, and this is why we need to kind of retrain the people that listen to us to not necessarily be like that. We can't have them. It's like we're not giving you some run of the mill music, even if it's at a high capacity output. It's never just rushed and put together. It's something that it's a good meal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something you got to sit down and enjoy. You don't just scarf that on the go.
Sure indeed, man. Sure indeed.
What else can we expect this year? What else is 2022 going to bring?
Man, there's a lot of projects. To keep it real, I'm going to keep most of them in the tuck. But the one I can speak on, one I can speak on is the next album, Guerrilla Contracts.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to be Guerrilla Contracts or Guerrilla Contractor.
Okay.
I'm settling on the title. But it's going to be my first. It's going to be my first solo album this year, and my first album since Transitional Assistance. And it's definitely it's definitely going to be bigger and badder. You feel me? Like that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going with it. Bigger and badder. Just.
Is there anyone who you're working with that you wanna mention, or do you want to keep that in the tuck too?
That I'm working with? I mean, it's all pretty much the same people. There's an EP that I think that I'm coming out with. I'm not gonna give too much away. That I'm doing with a brother that is gonna sound very different than the work I get, and it's a little more on the healthy side.
Okay.
So we would definitely.
So not different production wise, but different more like as far as the
both of those
lyrical content.
Both of those.
Okay. Word.
But it's not so weird where it's like you don't see it fitting me. It's definitely like a part of what I do. But yeah, I'm doing that. But just expect more, like a lot more work, a lot more work with people that I rock with too, you know.
Word.
That's something that I want to do because I want to really cement legacy this year, and I want to work with, maybe certain people on their shit, like more like family, or people that I rock with. I want to work on different things because sometimes I hear things from different people that I'm like, okay, I want to explore that. That's fun, like. I think me and you, I don't know if you want to let that out the bag. Me and you have talked about doing some, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, for sure, man. We definitely
because I told you that's in me the same way.
Yeah. Word, yeah. I just got to get this next album with Chairman Chow out, man. We're just working on the part that's not as much fun, not the recording, but like the getting the artwork and getting, planning the release and all that shit now. But as soon as I get back in the creative mode, it's on. Yeah,
man. You already know.
That's what's up. All right, cool, man. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk with me today. This interview will be up on the cryptonline.com shortly, and probably also somehow folded into the cryptonline.com HipHopHeads podcast.
Sure, man, and thank you for taking the time out to do it, man. Thank you for all you do.
This was very enlightening, man. Great conversation. I knew there was a lot here to explore, so. Glad this is the
man, definitely, man. I appreciate again, like you reaching out, like you and Vega, you guys, y'all doing a lot of good work as far as the blogosphere is concerned too, So
yeah, man. No stopping now.
Appreciate y'all, man.
All right, word, man. Well, listen, man. Have a good weekend. Thanks for taking the time.
All right, you too, man. Peace.
All right, peace, brother.